Okay, so this is the second part of the interviewing video lecture for that PowerPoint for this module. And where we left off in the last part was employment interviews. I'm sorry, my cat is being a little bit whiny today. So now we're going to talk about both conducting employment interviews and being in them. As I said, this is kind of a quick overview, and I'll give you more information in some links in a bit. So let's go here where we still left off. So employment interviews. So conducting employment interviews, there are of course some steps involved. So first you want to do your preparation. It's a good idea to do research on the applicant. That includes studying the resume, cover letter, and any references that were provided, as well as any provided materials. So that you have an idea of the person that you're going to be interviewing and maybe specific things that you want to know. Then you want to develop protocol questions, but when you're conducting interviews, to make sure that you are in line with federal guidelines and not using questions that are maybe biased toward one thing or another. You want to try to make sure that your questions are at least similar for each applicant. There can be minor differences, but you want to try to be as consistent as possible. When you're conducting the interview, you want to greet the applicant and then ask your protocol questions. You want to consider your own verbal and nonverbal cues and how those might be leading answers. You also want to consider the verbal and nonverbal cues from the person that you're interviewing as well. Make sure you ask follow-up questions, which are the secondary questions we talked about before, to get more information about the primary questions and anything you might want to get more information about, and clarify any next steps. Then after the interview, you want to make sure you follow up as well. So you want to contact any individuals that were interviewed to let them know the status of the application, like if the position was filled or things like that, and respectfully thank them for both their time and their interest. Interviewing for a job, I think this is where a lot of you will be much more than actually conducting the interview. So I wanted to spend a bit more time on this. So finding job openings, you want to look in both the visible and the hidden job market. So the visible job market is the one that's published that anyone can access. So these are published job openings on newspapers or online or anywhere else that you can find like a print version of the job application. A hidden job market are often unpublished. They require connections or asking about the job. So this would be like if you wanted to get a job at a gaming store, for instance, and you walked in and you asked the manager, hey, are you hiring? There's no sign on the door that says they're hiring, but maybe they are. Maybe they're waiting for someone to come in. This also might be your dad's friend is looking for help working in a shop. But he's not, published it on Monster or Indeed. He's just looking for someone, and you go in because you have a connection and you know already about the job. So those would be examples of a hidden job market. So interviewing for a job, we're still looking at finding job openings. Some ideas for places you can look would be job referral services, career fairs, employee referral programs, published sources and websites. Company websites are a big one. So let's say you know that you want to work for a certain company. You can go to their website and you can look for their career page or their jobs page and find any openings there. And networking sources. These are people that you know that can help you to locate jobs. So interviewing for a job and preparing application materials, we went over this for like an hour in the last presentation, so this is really super quick. You'll need a resume and cover letter, or a CV, or a resume or a CV, depending on the job, and a cover letter. Academic jobs like teaching often ask more for CVs. A lot of other jobs ask for resumes. Cover letter is that letter to an employer that tells them why you're a good fit, why they want you to work for them, and why you want to work for them. You also want to ask for references. Many employers do require at least 3. Many of them require at least professional references. Some will allow personal references. And you want to make sure that you tailor your application material for online submissions depending on the requirements of the job that you're applying for. So some may require like your resume to be in a PDF. Or may require you to use certain software. So you want to make sure you kind of take that into consideration as you're creating those materials. So preparing for an interview, you want to do research on the company and the job to kind of get an idea of what you might be asked or what's valuable to that company or for that position. It's helpful to prepare kind of self-summary of previous experience and accomplishments, like basically a 1-paragraph summary of who you are and why you want this job. Prepare a list of likely questions and rehearse the answers. There are millions of likely questions for X position websites out there. So you may want to just Google those and find the one that's going to be best for your type of position. And then kind of rehearse what you think the interview will go like. It's not going to go the way you plan, but the more prepared you are in advance, the better you'll be able to answer those questions that are expected. Before the interview, make sure you dress appropriately. Arrive on time, and actually bring a copy of your application materials or any other helpful information to demonstrate your proficiency for the job. That shows that you were prepared and serious, and it will make you much more likely to be hired. During the interview itself, listen actively. So listen to what the person is saying and consider everything that they are saying before you start thinking about your answer. Think before answering. Kind of try to mentally compose it for a second. Be enthusiastic. You want to be professional, but you don't want to be stiff and robotic. You do want to be a human, and you want to show why you're excited about this possible position. Be honest in your answers. Most people will be more impressed by you being genuine than by a bunch of made-up stuff that you think sounds more impressive. Ask questions. It shows you're thinking critically about the job and that you have priorities and you're looking to see if it's a good fit for you. So definitely ask the interviewer questions, and be sure to thank the interviewer at the end. And then following up, send a thank you note, kind of think about your performance, and contact the interviewer for any feedback. So that's the end of the interviewing protocol thing. I said this one was pretty short since the last one was so long, and I'll have some additional links for you to look over. I'll see you guys very soon. I look forward to doing your mock interviews next week.